Hey peeps, welcome to another video. Today it is part one of the Vogue 9345 sew along. I have gone for the maxi dress version, which you obviously can't tell here. Now I did make the large billowy sleeves and I actually added a cuff to those, but I decided, I pinned one on and I just decided that it was a little bit too much with the maxi length and the print. So I decided to go for sleeveless, which isn't actually an option on the dress, but I knew that I wanted to be able to wear it like this with a like tight roll neck or sort of turtleneck t-shirt underneath and a slip, and I've got knee-high boots on and tights, and that means that it's appropriate for this time of year. And then when the weather warms up a little bit, I'll be able to wear it without all of those things and it will be just as good. So I'm really pleased that I decided to go for the sleeveless option because I really like how it looks. This is a three-part series and this is part one. So today we're going to be looking at our pattern and working out what size we actually need to trace, tracing the pattern and doing any alterations that we need to do. So let's get started. For this sew along you will need your pattern, fabric, lightweight interfacing, matching thread, pins, a ruler, paper scissors, fabric scissors, fray check, marking tool of choice. I use both a friction pen and the Prim chalk pen, pencil, soft tape measure. You're also going to need an iron, ironing board, pattern making paper and a sewing machine, all of which are too big to fit on this surface. So we are going to be doing a sew along for the Vogue 9345. We're going to do version C but with the sleeves from A and D, and then I'm actually going to either add a cuff or elastic to the bottom of those sleeves. So the first thing you want to do is work out which cup size that you need to be tracing, because they have different bodice pieces for all four cup sizes. So you want to measure over the fullest part of your bust. Make sure that the tape measure is nice and straight to the floor and write down that number. Then you're going to do your high bust, which is so you measure across the back, high up under the arm and across the top of the bust, and then you're going to deduct your high bust from your bust measurement, and then depending on what you end up with you will find out which pattern piece that you need to trace. So mine ended up with being cup size C, so I have made a note of that at the top there. What I then like to do is I like to go through all the pattern pieces here and make a note of each one that I need to trace. So I've got a C cup, so it's bodice front 3 because that's the C cup, then number 7 because that's bodice side front for the C cup, then the bodice back, the yoke front and back, we've got the collar, bodice front facing, we want skirt, and I'm going to be doing skirt C and skirt front C. Then I also want to cut out the skirt front facing, so that's pattern piece 18. I'm going to be doing sleeve A, which is the wide sleeve, so I want 19, but I also like this dress, so I'm going to trace out the shorter sleeve at the same time, and that's just purely and simply because I'm tracing it all out at the moment. So I like to trace out any elements that I think I will use for future projects. I know I'm not going to make the pencil skirt version, so I'm not going to do that one. So the next thing that we need to do is iron all of our tissue pieces, because you want to make sure that they're really nice and flat so that you can get an accurate trace. If you just unfold these and smooth them out, they can end up with wrinkles in them, which can affect the size of the pattern piece that you trace out. And then we're going to work out our actual size that we need to trace. According to the pattern, I would need to do a 16 bust, between a 12 and a 14 for the waist, and then an 18 for the hips. I have the 6 to 14 pattern bundle range because I know that they build a lot of wearing ease into this. I'm going to be able to find the finished garment measurements on the tissue paper, and then I can work out how much ease I would like to build into the pattern. So I'm going to get those ironed and then I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so I want to work out how much ease Vogue have built into their pattern. So the size 14 on here on the envelope says that it's a 36-inch bust, and the size 14 on the finished garment for the C cup says that size 14 is a 40-inch finished bust, so that's 4 inches of wearing ease. That's too much wearing ease for me. The size 14, which is the 28 waist, size 14 here gives you a 30.5-inch waist finish measurement. Size 12, which is 26.5, gives you a 28.5-inch finished waist measurement. That's 2 inches of wearing ease for the waist and 4 inches of wearing ease for the bust. That is kind of a lot. So rather than do the size 16, which I don't have, I'm going to do the size 14 for my bust and the size 12 for my waist, because that will give me a fit that I prefer. And I'm not going to worry about the hips because this is a very full skirt, so I'm just going to trace the size 12 from the skirt down. So now that I have worked out what cup size I want, what pattern pieces I need to trace, and what size I'm going to do, I'm going to get all my pieces traced out, which is going to take me a while because there are quite a few. I need to alter the bodice of this slightly. I always need to add length to these kinds of patterns. So I have got here my bodice front, my bodice front facing, the bodice side back, the bodice back, and I need to get the bodice side front out of my envelope. I have missed that one piece out, 2 secs. So this is the entirety of the bodice pieces that I need to alter. I've got the bodice back, the bodice side back, the bodice side front, the bodice front, and the bodice front facing. And really nicely, they actually have a lengthen and a shorten line on the facing piece, which is something that gets missed off quite a lot, so that is nice to see. Now I want to lengthen the bodice by 1 inch, so I'm going to do that in the standard method that I've shown you guys loads of times before, but for anyone who is new to my sew-alongs, I will show you how I do it on one of the pieces, and then you're just going to repeat that for every single piece that needs lengthening. Okay, so I know I need to lengthen my bodice by 1 inch, so I'm going to draw a rectangle which is 1 inch wide. Set that to the side for now. I've got the bodice back here because one of the important things that you want to note is that there is a perpendicular line running through the lengthen and shorten lines. This piece is meant to be cut on the fold, which is what this mark indicates, but it does mean that I don't have a perpendicular line going through my lengthen and shorten line, so I'm just going to add one in. And it literally just needs to be at a right angle perpendicular to the lengthen and shorten lines, and that's going to help you match up your piece when you come to stick it down. So the next step is to cut along the lengthen and shorten line. We're going to take that piece and that cut edge that we've just made, you're going to line that up with the bottom of your 1 inch marker and tape it down. Now that perpendicular line that you drew, you're going to continue that up from your bottom piece through your 1 inch wide extension piece, and that will help you line up the top part of your pattern piece. So I'm matching up the perpendicular line that I have continued through my 1 inch extension, and I'm going to stick that down. So I've now added 1 inch of length to my back bodice piece. I now need to straighten out the edges of that. The back edge is easy because that's cut on the fold, so that one is actually a straight line. This one there is a slight jog, so what you want to do, and this line is also slightly curved, you want to kind of even that out from the top piece down to the bottom. I've taken off maybe a 1/16 of an inch off of the bottom piece there, so I'm going to cut this out, cut off the excess paper from the back of the pattern piece, and there I have lengthened my back bodice piece by 1 inch. So I'm going to repeat that process for all the other pieces that need lengthening in the bodice. So the side, bodice back, bodice side back, bodice front side, bodice front, and the facing. And that's all my pattern pieces lengthened by 1 inch. Now I can start cutting out some fabric. If you have any questions at all, please let me know in the comment section down below and I will do my best to answer them for you. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't yet, please subscribe, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye!